Hello. This video showcases an overview of the paper, Players Take Self-Care, Bringing Humanistic Psychology into a Game Jam About Mental Health, by Spors and Kaufman.
Video games are a rich, cultural medium that can reach deeply into people's lives. They can offer escapism from the real world. They can be a space to explore one's identity, and they can be used as a tool for self-care.
These qualities can be tapped into and experienced in a variety of ways. One of them is bringing people together in a game jam. A game jam is a community event in which people make games with each other. Game jams are highly social, creative, and diverse events. They can facilitate innovation, ideation, community building, and valuable personal experiences by making and mingling with others. However, they can also feature toxicity, elitism, gatekeeping, and overworking.
In concrete terms, the paper addresses the following two research questions. First, can aspects of humanistic psychology and the person-centered approach be integrated into a relational game jam? Second, what insights can be gained from engaging players in such a relational game jam, themed around self-care and mental health?
The paper explores how to support relationality between jammers, enabling them to relate to themselves and others in a meaningful way.
What is humanistic psychology? Humanistic psychology emphasizes the experiential, meaning-making nature of human life. Each person's experiences, whether positive or negative, are considered unique and uncategorizable. Each person's life exists embedded within interpersonal relationships and their own intentionality, decisions and choices. In our paper, we focus on the person-centered approach, which can be understood as practically applying the values of HP in counseling and beyond. The PCA understands mental distress as the result of not being able to be your genuine self due to personal, cultural, societal, or environmental influences. Instead of a prescriptive view of treatment, practitioners of the PCA seek to offer a relational, empathetic and non-judgmental environment for people to self-actualize in, and to become a congruent, genuine self. Drawing from these values and approaches, the aim was to integrate them into a game jam through the following methods.
First,
setting a slower pace.
Second,
jamming as a process, communicating that jam entries did not have to be fully working games, technology, or tool prototypes.
Third,
creating space for personal expression, scheduling collective activities centered around discussions to allow sharing of personal experiences between jammers.
Fourth,
allowing participants to set their own focus and jam in ways that were most meaningful to them.
The Game Jam was organized as a week-long remote event during 2021. It was co-hosted by the National Videogame Museum, the UK's first museum about video games. Their mission statement is video games for everyone, forever. They believe in the importance of preserving video game histories and making the process of making and playing games more accessible in the present too. The Game Jam was open worldwide and themed around the topic of self-care and mental health. In total, 19 people from different countries took part. From Monday to Friday, workshops were conducted to familiarize jammers with the jam's topics and the prepared toolkit. Saturday and Sunday were dedicated to jamming and showcasing what participants had created.
To support jammers and their creativity, a pluralistic set of strategies was developed. One of these strategies was providing a design toolkit. Prior to the jam, the Caring Systems Toolkit was created. It consists of a workbook, which contains education, inspirational content and activities, a set of ideation cards, which illustrate both self-care and mental health-related concepts and questions, a template sheet, which provides guided space for someone to capture their ideas and ideate on their technology design.
Before the jam,
a survey was handed out to capture participants' expectations.
During the jam,
each participant was encouraged to keep a personal diary. All group engagements with and between participants were recorded throughout the jam.
After the jam,
another survey was handed out, and semi-structured interviews were conducted to capture post-jam expressions.
What was discovered? The collected data were analysed thematically to derive insights. Some excerpts of the constructed themes will now be shared. For a full overview, please refer to the paper. First theme, recontextualize self-care and games. Participants reflected on how the safe, empathetic jam environment and their meaningful interactions with other participants coming together in the game jam led to the creation of a small, emergent community that participants were part of. Through self-reflection and engagements with others, jammers described how they extended their understanding of self-care, mental health and games.
Second theme, unlearning normativity, together. The second theme showcases how participants encountered and confronted normativity through the game jam in very personal and individual ways, but as a collective. As a group, jammers took great care to deconstruct why people may need self-care, in which forms, and what it means to experience mental distress right now. Part of this deconstruction involved considering the agency of game makers and jammers, as well as the role of positionality and personal experience in shaping the understanding of self-care and its translation into the game-making process. This theme showcases that wrestling with the assumed status quo is not a single action, but an iterative, relational, and self-exploratory process. This, learning can be uncomfortable and destabilizing. However, it can simultaneously catalyze moments of growth, individually and collectively.
Takeaways. Based on the gained insights, takeaways will be outlined for the CHIPLAY community and those involved in game jams, care, mental health, and relationality. For a full list of ideas, please refer to the paper. The jam led to the understanding that the humanistic qualities of empathy, genuineness, and unconditional positive regard can be important supportive aspects of game jams.
Subvert, deconstruct, and learn together.
Jammers and facilitators are encouraged to radically shift their thoughts, feelings, and associations with self-care and mental health. It is also recommended to revisit and investigate how these topics can be meaningfully integrated into games. This jam aimed to explicitly invite questions about the meaning of game making and the themes addressed in games.
Hold space for yourself and each other.
Participants embraced the openness and chance for self-expression in the jam readily, even leveraging it for their own creativity and jam entries. Participants described the game jam as providing an empathetic, understanding environment for people to step through their feelings and express them to the group. Here, there is significant value in jams serving as a vehicle for sense-making and as connective tissue between participants to build community. Being with each other opened up the possibility of other ways of being and learning with each other.
Many ways to care, many ways to jam.
The game jam was intentionally slowed down to encourage jammers to embrace idleness. Participants were encouraged to set their own pace and produce whatever they deemed fit, or nothing at all. The aim was to avoid creating expectations of failure or the feeling of failing the jam. Instead, discussions were guided to encourage deeper personal reflections. Making a game is often the primary focus of game jams as an important goal and endpoint. This outcome-driven approach can directly influence how jammers organize themselves and shape their priorities during the jam.
This research was supported by UK Research and Innovation, the UK Arts and Humanities Research Council, and the Research Council of Finland. Thanks are extended to all participants and the National Videogame Museum for their support and energy. Without them, this research would not have been possible. Text-to-speech was generated with ttsmaker.com. The script was edited and shortened with ChatGPT 3.5. The background music is by Stevieasphere. Finally, this video was inspired by Perturbator. Thank you for watching.